Joe, a team that a lot of people have been high on, at least in the preseason, has been the Mustangs of Southern Methodist University. Mm-hmm. They go up to Nevada, and Joe, they barely squeak one out here. Your thoughts on the game yesterday, SMU and Nevada?
Yeah, gee, I wonder who was hyping them up. Yeah, they're extremely overrated. I really didn't understand some people that were saying that they could go. A lot of people have opinions I respect. I'm not saying that anyone who was picking them to go win the ACC, be an ACC dark horse, was extremely wrong. On paper, they had a pretty good team, but that team did not show up to play. And I think this goes a step further than just overlooking a G5 opponent. They were extremely undisciplined on defense. That was a huge problem. But I think the biggest issue that they have is Preston Stone. I think that Preston Stone is not a very good quarterback. I thought that he played really poorly in this game, dude.
Oh,
he could have gotten picked off like 6 times if it wasn't for the amount of drop balls that the DBs had.
Joe, that kid came over a lot of adversity and lived into a game-winning drive. You know what happened
What?
I mean, you remember when Texas Tech lost to Wyoming last year? Remember that? And we were high on Texas Tech. Yeah. Preston Stone overcame it. Now, look, RJ Maryland won them the football game. 8 catches, 162 yards, and a touchdown. I don't want to go that far to say that they are vastly overrated, but they're going to play in a conference that if you're not careful, you'll go 4-8, 5-7. And I don't want to disagree with you that they don't look like a 6-6, 5-7 team. I will remind you though, Texas says, I'm using Texas as an example in this because we're in the state. We're talking about a team in the state of Texas. I'm old enough to remember last year when Texas was in an outright battle going into the fourth quarter, tied with Wyoming last year, right? Like, I mean, there have been times where playoff teams have walked through either a week where they think that they're just going to go in and not do anything, or, this team that they're going to play sucks. And here's another thing. Rhett Lashley talked about in his postgame about playing in altitude and them not necessarily preparing for it. And that was a lack of knowing where you were going. I don't care that it was 50 degrees when you got there. I don't care that you're playing in altitude. You have to know that. I just don't want to write them off completely yet when you came all the way back and won. Is God coming back? What are you looking at?
There's a TV right next to me. I was just quickly changing the channel. Sorry, I didn't mean to be distracting.
I honestly thought Jesus was coming home.
Yeah, no, I'm getting raptured.
I don't want to go that far. Okay, like I don't want to go so far as to say that they're going to be a 4-8, 5-7, 6-16.
I don't think that that's the case.
Here's another thing that I want to point out.
Okay.
11 penalties, 125 yards. Joe, of those 11 penalties, 9 of them on third down. By the way, they converted 7 of those of the 9 penalties that they had. Mm-hmm. That will make you get in a dogfight with anybody, right? And then you have an early turnover. I put them at 8-4. I don't feel confident on that, right? Like I don't feel confident in that at all. Man, they got a lot of shit they got to figure out, though. Golly, they got a lot of shit they got to figure out.
The take that I had when we previewed them, I think still stands. A group of 5 team moving up to a power conference, it is way too bullish to assume that they could be touching the conversation of winning the conference. I push back on you bringing up the Texas example because they were coming off of a massive hangover of beating Alabama. And notoriously, a lot of teams, when they come off of a huge win over a big opponent, they tend to show up the next week if they're playing like a crappy team.
SMU had a bigger hangover. They had a whole offseason of people telling them that they're going to be really good.
I don't know, man. That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse for the situation. You're supposed to be better than Nevada. I don't know, man. I can't. I just was disappointed with the.
Look, I'm going to teach us a lesson that you should have learned from last year. A lot of people thought Notre Dame was playoff bound after week 0 last year too, and week 0 is week 0.
Yeah, but a lot of those people were just
you.
No. I wasn't saying playoff bound. The word playoff bound didn't come out of my mouth because they beat Navy. That was not what
Yeah,
was
you
said.
said you said all off season we're beating Ohio.
They almost beat Ohio State. It had nothing to do with Navy.
Being close and something like that, it's either hand grenades or horseshoes that it only matters.
Stop it. Okay, look, the lack of discipline is a huge issue and something that you can get away with and still win against a group of 5 team. But
yeah,
they did some
ACC. You're in trouble.
They did some stupid shit. Just as simply to put it as possible, they were extremely immature. Like the one issue where one of the players spit on a guy. Like, are you kidding me, man? You can't be doing that.
Well,
doing
then they
that
got
in a game,
fight, and then they had converted the 3rd down. I mean, like I'm sitting there, and I see Rhett Lashley being as red as his polo. Okay, that's under his sweatshirt, and I'm like, look, man. I mean, Joe, 7 of the 9 penalties that they had on 3rd down, they converted on.
Look, I know you're not going to agree with me on the Preston Stone thing. I really think
I actually didn't like I actually didn't mind the backup though.
So that was what I was going to say. They brought in Kevin Jennings, and the context of why they brought him in is kind of unresolved and unexplained. Apparently, they were saying during the broadcast that he's a team captain. That Kevin Jennings is like a really highly heralded guy, and I don't know why they put him into the game. But I tell you what, that offense looked really different when he was in the game. He looked really freaking poised. He looked really freaking good.
They couldn't move the football with him.
That's not true. The drive that he came in, they scored.
Yeah, because they ran the football at will.
No. He had some nice throws.
They had 60, yeah, okay. They had 60 rushing yards on the drive they came in there and they scored too. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think it's something to be said that Preston Stone came over the adversity and led them to a drive. But here's another question I want to ask: Who in the hell is this kid, RJ Maryland? Jesus, Marion Jones.
He was phenomenal.
Dude,
he was phenomenal.
Dude can play, man. So look, all I would say is this: I'm gonna back off my take. You were probably right. I was probably too high on my friend going into a group of 5, but let's see how the season progresses. All right.
This video is sponsored by the online fitness training camp presented by Chris Gates Fitness. When I first started talking about Chris, about partnering with our show, not only was I excited to have a fitness sponsor for our pod, but more importantly, when I found out about how he can help people achieve their goals, I was even more bought in, because when the football season starts, it is so tough to stay on top of things and also to be able to enjoy yourself on Saturdays when it's game day. With Chris Gates Fitness's online training camp, you're going to be able to effectively stay focused, consistent, burn fat, build muscle, and do it with a like-minded community of individuals working towards the same thing. On top of this, you're going to be able to get direct coaching from Chris and the ability to ask him questions with an access to a live Q&A where you can get direct personalized support from Chris himself. Don't wait any longer. If you're trying to get in shape during this fall and you want to be able to do it with the right support system, head on over to chrisgatesfitness.com/training camp or click the link in the description. And you need to do it today because you can get the first month. Personal training is expensive, folks. The first month for only $10 when you use that code RuffinoJoe. Don't wait any longer. Head on over there. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.